Hi, Nature School. It's Mr. Mike, and this week we're talking all about migration. Not just migration here in Ohio and in Erie County, we're going to talk about migration all over, even though most of what we're going to talk about is migration that's going on right here over the next few weeks. So, before we get started here on the board, what is migration? Well, it's seasonal movements of animals that need to find another place to go during winter, or to find food, or to breed. So you're probably wondering, Mr. Mike, why would an animal need to leave somewhere if it was perfectly happy and perfectly capable of finding food in one area and then going on to somewhere else? Well, during breeding times, for example, like birds, animals that are moving, there are other animals there that they have to compete with. So these birds and whales and things that do migrate and insects have realized that there is ample food in these more northern habitats that can better benefit them and help them to raise and rear young. So, as we move on, let's talk about some animals that might migrate. Can you guys think of any that might migrate? That's right. If you said birds, there are a lot of birds that migrate, especially here in Ohio and all throughout North America. Can we think of any others? If you said insects, that's exactly right. There are butterflies that migrate, like the monarch butterfly. Miss Melissa loves talking about those. And there are moths that migrate, not as far of distances as the monarch butterfly, but they do migrate small distances. Can we think of anything else that might migrate? Whales, I had just mentioned, whales migrate. They specifically go up into cooler water to breed. Are there any other animals that you guys think might migrate? Sea turtles, eels, all kinds of things migrate. And they all migrate for different reasons, as we had mentioned. But ones that we see migrate right here, and we're going to talk about, are the monarch butterflies, which we won't see those until summer really gets going and then into fall. But we're going to talk about bird migration today because over the next 2 weeks, it's called the biggest week in birding, or the biggest weeks in birding, we get an influx of migratory birds that pass right through here, right through Erie County, up over the lake, and they love this habitat, and it's their last pit stop or truck stop or car ride stop like you guys might have with your parents, to where these birds have to stop, take a break, eat, take a little rest, maybe find some of their friends, and then travel on up to their breeding grounds. So, let's get to talking about some of those birds. All right, Nature School, forgive me for my drawing, but we have North America here, South America, and in the center here, do a little arrow, we have Central America. These count into it too. So, what happens is these birds, which will indicate here in the red on the way up, these birds will breed up here. So we're probably about right here. Up here's Canada. And so the Great Lakes would be here and around this area. And they come up here to breed, and they breed all throughout here. All throughout Canada and Ohio, Minnesota, North Dakota, Canada, Oregon, all kinds of places up here. And these birds come up here to breed, one, so they have good nesting habitat, and two, there's plenty of food like moth larvae, which we would call caterpillars, and other things, other invertebrates and tiny bugs that these things might eat. So there's lots of food for them to feed their young, feed themselves, get nice and big. And then a lot of these birds, after spring and fall have came in, or spring, summer, after spring, summer, and fall have came and went, and these birds have raised their young, and they're ready to move on, they all take a big flight all the way back down here in some cases, in this flyway. Some of them come right down this way, and some of them even go all the way down towards Antarctica. Some of them even fly this way. Some of them fly this way. And get this, Some of these birds even fly from all the way up into here. This is Alaska, all the way across Canada and the United States, and they fly all the way over to Africa. Isn't that crazy? Now, I was fortunate enough to see one of those birds that fly all the way from up there in Alaska and Canada, all the way down to Africa. But I didn't have to go to Africa to do it. I actually saw it right here in Ohio. About an hour and a half south of here, I managed to get word of a bird and hear that it was down here in Ohio, and I got to see it. And that bird was called a northern wheater, seen right here. Now, we have all these flyways and paths that kind of intersect, so it wouldn't be crazy that a bird that normally flies all the way over to Africa or all the way to South America or all the way down to the bottom of here to get lost or off their normal flight patterns. So what we're going to look for over these next few days are birds that are migrating through. We're going to show you some videos, we're going to show you some pictures, and we'll talk about where these birds migrate from and why. Now, remember, there are important things for birds and other animals that migrate. We all need food, water, and shelter, and habitat or space. So we need all of these things to survive. These birds need that too. And theirs just so happens to change seasonally. Now, in the spring, which is what we're going through right now, is we're getting all of these birds coming back up through North America. So all these birds are saying, okay, the weather's changing, it's getting warmer, there's more food, all these other birds are coming, now we need to move back up. So all of these birds are taking flight patterns up through our area. And what they're doing is they're taking breaks and they're stopping and they're getting wind and they're getting all kinds of discombobulated because weather happens and things happen as they're flying. And they're stopping right here at the Great Lakes before they make their final trip to their breeding habitats. And then they breed and then start the whole process all over again. So let's go out and look for some of these migratory birds that we don't get all year round, and we'll get a little bit of a closer look. All right, let's go, Nature School.
All right, guys, good morning, and I'm super excited because it is migration time. It is my favorite time of the year, other than mothing, so it's my second favorite time of the year. I don't know if you can tell about my energy, but I'm super excited. So if we listen right now, I can hear chipping sparrows every once in a while. That jumbled mess of scratchy sounds and what sounds like something just like is a house wren. So that means we've had some good migration over the last night. And if you check this out, look at Birdcast here. So this is a wonderful website that can show you guys when birds are going to move in and out. And usually what happens is they track it kind of like they track the weather. These birds move in such large groups that we can see them and pick them up with weather technology. So what's really, really cool is I also scared a green heron over this way when I first walked up over here. I'm at the Community Foundation Preserve at Eagle Point, and I can hear all kinds of stuff this morning. The chipping sparrows have actually been around for a while, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're gonna keep moving, and we're gonna see what else we can find and have you guys tag along with me so we can prepare for warblers, which will be next week and the week after. And a little bit through now, because we've already seen some. If you remember from warbler prep, we've already seen some. So let's get moving and see if we can find anything, because my eyes are just not going to stop moving and spazzing all over the place because I'm too excited, because this is like the most amazing time of the year. So let's go. All right, guys, so as I said, we're starting here at Eagle Point, then we're going to move to Pipe Creek for shorebirds, and then we're going to bounce from Pipe Creek. We're going to go over to the Barnes Extension, and we were over there a couple days ago and saw some pretty cool birds like the lesser yellowlegs. I got a Forster's tern, but I'm telling you, it's pretty active. It's the most active it's been since I've been out. But what we want to look for is any movement high up in trees. You're going to listen for sounds. Obviously, it would be much better to familiarize yourself, yellow-rumped warbler up there. I hear a yellow warbler. Listen. I just heard it. It goes T T T T T sweet tea. And if you guys watch my warbler prep video, you would know exactly what that sound is. Guys, literally this is my Christmas. So I hope you get as enthused as I do. There go some wood ducks right there. And after you practice listening for a long time, and you can use All About Birds to practice listening to calls and things. But it's awesome because we live in such an awesome area, as I mentioned before. We're caught in these two flyways, and these flyways kind of provide a split, and Lake Erie and all of the Great Lakes provide a kind of break for most of these birds before they move on to their breeding grounds. So we're their last stop. We're like the last pit stop, the last major pit stop before these birds move on and breed. So what we want to do is keep our eyes peeled and looking for a variety of different birds. So what I'm going to do is, it's camera time now. We're going to take pictures, and then we'll explain some of the birds that we're seeing after a little bit. And then when we move to Pipe Creek, we'll get again and look at some shorebirds. All right, guys. All right, Nature School, you hear that? So over here, we have a little mud flat. And I think they just scared them all off, unfortunately. Maybe they'll circle back. But there were about 4 greater yellow legs and a lesser yellow legs. And there are some solitary sandpipers landing right now on this little mud flat at Eagle Point. So this is really good because this usually doesn't happen because this water's been moving in and out. These wading birds that like to pick in the soil for insects and invertebrates and things have ample habitat to do so, with the wind blowing in last night and kind of coming out and starting to blow back up in a little bit. But there's still 4 or 5 solitaries, and I can see a greater yellow legs out there too. And we'll show you those pictures here in a second. But what's cool is that every once in a while you'll hear the killdeer that's been stalking this area for about 2 weeks now will scare all of them off because it's his feeding territory. So it's pretty cool to watch him move in and out. But we didn't even have to go to Pipe Creek or anywhere where there was a big shore to look for these birds, and we found them right here just by coming out behind the coop at the Community Foundation Preserve at Eagle Point. So pretty cool. So let's get a closer look and check out the pictures. All right, guys, so here are, in the back, are 4 greater yellow legs, and the bird that's closest in the picture is the solitary sandpiper. And they can be distinguished by the greater yellow legs, and the lesser yellow legs can be tough, but the greater usually has a bill that's 1.5 times the size of its head. In this photo, we have greater yellow legs on the left, a killdeer in the middle, and a lesser yellow legs on the right here. So you can see his little yellowish legs, and they tend to have a smaller bill, the lesser yellow legs, and just ever so slightly smaller than the greater. So the killdeer out at Eagle Point will also do this really kind of cool defense tactic when someone gets too close to their nest or where they might be. So they'll basically fake that they're injured to avoid you from getting close to their young, or try to lure you away from their young. So you'll see them kind of basically playing opossum, pretending to be hurt or injured, kind of flopping around on the ground like you see here. Who was that? Drink your tea. Alright guys, we've just finished our first loop and we got some awesome birds already. So we got Baltimore Oriole, we got Nashville Warbler, we got Yellow Warbler, tons of Eastern Towhees, probably more yellow rumps than I've ever seen in my life. And I hit the coolest flock of about 40 white-throated sparrows, which will kind of move in and out. You can hear the field sparrows kind of singing back here. It's a perfect morning. We got perfect wind. We got a nice southwest wind that's going to push all these birds that are coming from the Mississippi Flyway, which we talked about earlier. They're going to push these birds kind of to the east instead of them going west and going straight up north, Minnesota, Boreal area, up into Canada. It's going to force them a little bit over to the east towards us. And then you have the ones that are on the Atlantic flyway that are gonna try to break off, but some of them are gonna flood over into our area. So honestly, we live in a perfect spot for this kind of mesh of these two flyways, and we're pinned kind of right about here in this area, so it makes it perfect for us. So now we're gonna move on to our next location and we'll start from there, all right? All right, guys, we're at our second location. We're at Wyandotte Metro Park. I'm at the Barnes Extension, and we're out here gonna peek out for some shorebirds, see if we find anything, and then we're gonna hit this back loop and see if we can find anything else. So far this morning, we've had an awesome morning. We had the Baltimore Oriole, Nashville Warbler, Palm Warbler, Yellow Warbler, your normal warblers you would see around this time. But that evening grosbeak, man, that is awesome. I got a Facebook message about the evening grosbeak at Sheldon's Marsh, so I hustled over there, got that, managed to get some pictures. I'm glad I went when I did, because about 5 minutes after I was there and spotted the bird, a sharp-shinned hawk flew in, scared that bird, 3 purple finches, and a bunch of American goldfinches out of that area, and nobody's been able to re-find the bird since. So that's just the luck of the draw. So right place, right time. Always keep your eyes open, and it always pays to know another birder, because they can help you find birds if you need to. So keep a lookout and keep checking. We're gonna get to looking through here. What makes this evening grosbeak unique and really cool to see around this time of year is we usually only see them through migration, and it depends on an eruption year or when we get a lot of these birds. They're very, very hard to find because they usually tend to stay north, where their preferred habitat is in the purple, as you can see here on the map. But sometimes will come a little bit lower when the conifer seeds that they feed on in the north tend to be very sparse. So then they're forced to move further south so they can make it through the winter. Good morning, everyone. Day 2 of migration. And if you look on the map here, you can see last night we had another big push of birds come through. Now, does that mean we're going to get all new birds? Probably not. But there could be some new ones moving through. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take the same loop we took yesterday, see if there's anything new, and kind of spot different birds and see things hopefully that are new. So we're over here at Eagle Point again, and we're going to get out on the bay over here and try to spot some of the shorebirds that might be hanging out there. The reason why is because, like I said, they can move in and out. The wind kind of push from the south again, so it'll push that water out and make that mud flat. But we're going to get you a really good close look at some of these birds. All right, let's go. All right, guys, so right there are on the right is your lesser yellow legs, and right in the center of the screen is a solitary sandpiper. I'm pretty sure we have a lesser yellow legs just flew into our left here. So as the sun comes in and these birds can see this little mud flat here, they're probably going to start to fly in more a little bit. But they're tough to differentiate between. So right here you can see the solitary. He's bobbing his tail a little bit, just a teeny bit. And then, you hear that? That right there is your lesser yellow legs. He flew in, heard the other bird, and kind of started stirring him up a little bit. He's to the left. Oh, everybody's kind of left the screen now, so we'll move over. He should come in. There he is. So there is your lesser yellow legs. Much taller. Kind of see a hornedish yellow leg. And much, much taller than the solitary. The solitary is a lot smaller. And I'll show you a picture here. You can see that white iris. So these are some of the birds we were searching for yesterday, and we found a bunch of them, and now we can get a good look at them kind of moving around, waiting and feeding. So they love these open flat areas. So you know, we're talking a lot about warblers and migration, but warblers aren't the only thing that migrate through and that are spending time here. So it's important to know about these shorebirds because we have ample habitat for them with these open flat areas that can provide good food, good cover before they continue to fly north to breed. So a good little spot to find them right here at Eagle Point, especially since the bay's been down. So it's always good to look for them that way. Alright guys, you see that bird right there? That is an American bittern. And what they do, if they're not looking for food or waiting around looking for food or migrating, they will sit still and try to blend in. If you noticed, he hasn't really moved. We're here at Edison Woods, just off a big meadow trail, and he is not moving at all. Cheryl is with me, she's to my right. And they will sit like this for as long as they can. Oh, he had a little bit of a movement there. For as long as they can, until people move or he feels like he's safe to go and look for food or move on to somewhere else. So this is an excellent find, thanks to our natural resource manager, Tara Kaufman, who spotted this bird earlier today. Then we hurried up and ran out here and refound it. So the other really cool thing about this American bittern is I came back later with my family to show them the bird because it was so close and easy to see. When I came back, I actually managed to find a second one on the opposite end of the pool, and see if you can see it here in this picture. And then in my next picture, I'll zoom in and show you how far away it was and how hard that bird is to spot. You hear that? That is a wood thrush. He's somewhere up along the tree line here. So we're going to try and get a little bit of a closer look at him and see if we can spot him. But I've seen black and white warblers. There's tons of white throats. There's all kinds of stuff moving around. It's very birdy today. All right, that wood thrush is right in there somewhere. We're going to try to... Oh, I hear a northern parula too. Excellent morning for birds. Alright guys, this is what we've been waiting for. I got out this morning, and it is very warblery, is the easiest way to describe it. I have a black-throated blue seen right here. There's all kinds of other things. So we've been talking about shorebirds mostly and the small amount of pine warblers and things that we've been seeing, but now we're really starting to see lots and lots of warblers. Black-throated greens, black and white, black-throated blue, heard wood thrushes. All of our migrants are starting to move through, and it's going to be a really good few days, and then next week's going to be killer too. So
All right, Nature School, now that we've talked all about bird migration, we've hung out, we've looked at some really cool birds today, and birds that I've seen throughout Ohio, and birds that I've seen right in your backyards, basically, or right here in the metro parks. So you guys go out over this next week and look for all the birds you can find, and tell me if you guys have seen a bird or two. And who knows, there might be a prize out there for someone who shares what birds they're finding. All right, Nature School, I'll catch you guys next time. Pound it.